Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I think this is the last video I'm going to be putting up before Christmas because I will not be posting on Christmas. So Merry Christmas guys, Happy Holidays, Blessed Yule, whatever you celebrate. I hope you guys have an amazing, amazing holiday season. I'm very excited for Christmas this year because I feel like maybe we'll get like a semi-normal Christmas again. I know last year's Christmas was the last thing from normal, so hopefully this one comes a little bit closer. Anyways, as y'all can see, today I'm going to be doing another book review. We will be talking about some wintry horror today. This is Jo Nesbo's The Snowman, and once again I got to do a buddy read with my friend Blackacre Doe. If for some reason you're on this channel and have not heard of Blackacre Doe, one, he's a very good friend of mine. I love our buddy reads and collaborations. And two, he is also a horror booktuber as well as a guitar tutorialist. Is tutorialist the right word? I think it is. He does a lot of tutorials on primarily Slipknot songs, but a bunch of other like metal and rock centric songs as well. Check out his channel. It's very fun. It's very unique. It's a really cool blend of music and horror indie lit, and I absolutely adore it. Anyway, I am determined to convince everybody to try out Nordic noir, especially if you are a fan of horror, especially if you are a fan of thriller. I feel like Nordic noir is a very, very good combination of kind of grotesque and creepy imagery with really fast-paced, amazing crime whodunit stories. The Snowman is absolutely up there as some of the most recognizable Nordic noir out there. Other titles, if you are unfamiliar with the genre, would include The Chestnut Man by Soren Sveistrup. If you've been following my channel, you know how much I love that book. As well as John Alvide Lindquist's Let the Right One In, which is very, very, very popular. That's a vampire story. And then I think the one that is probably the most well-known, but I personally have not read, is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So there are a ton of these out there. They're very cool, very interesting, very much set usually in like kind of cold, wintry settings. Very dark, very brooding, and filled with so many twists and turns and surprises, and I absolutely love it. And I really, really love reading about these stories set in unfamiliar places to me. A lot of times they'll be set in Denmark, Finland, Sweden, kind of all over the place, Iceland, and it is just awesome. So if you have never checked out Nordic Noir, I, again, highly, highly, highly recommend it. So yeah, so Blackacre Doe and I decided to read Jo Nesbo's The Snowman. Jo Nesbo's been around for a very, very long time. This is actually book 7 in his Harry Hole series. I know Harry Hole is a very unfortunate name for a detective, but I believe it is technically pronounced Harry Hole. Like, I don't think it's actually pronounced Hole, I'm not sure. But this is book 7 in his Harry Hole detective series. I did a lot of research into this book before I picked it up to make sure that I can read it as a standalone. You absolutely can read this as a standalone book. There's a couple like backstories that from the other prior novels that come in that don't really affect the narrative of the story overall. But yes, I had absolutely no problem following any of the storylines in this. We'll read the back of the book for y'all before I dive into this. So, one night after the year's first snowfall, a boy named Jonas wakes up and discovers that his mother has disappeared. Only one trace of her remains, a pink scarf, his Christmas gift to her, now worn by the snowman that inexplicably appeared in their yard earlier that day. Inspector Harry Hole suspects a link between the missing woman and a suspicious letter he's received. The case deepens when a pattern emerges. Over the past decade, 11 women have vanished, all on the day of the first snow. But this is a killer who makes his own rules, and he'll break his pattern just to keep the game interesting as he draws Harry ever closer to his twisted web. So this book is set in Norway. So this is another one of the books where like I really want to talk about a lot of the things that happened in this, but I can't without giving it away. I will say that this book is absolutely built on red herrings. This book is going to lead you every which way. So you're going to be reading this book looking at every character as a possible suspect. There are so many different reasons why many of the main characters presented to you could absolutely be secretly the killer. There were so many twists and turns. I'm probably going to compare this a lot to The Chestnut Man just because I think that they're very similar in tone, yet very different in execution. Whereas The Chestnut Man, when you get to the big reveal at the end, it makes so much sense and it just all falls into place, but you didn't see it coming at all. The Snowman uses different tactics. The main killer in the story is hidden in plain sight in front of you the whole time, and if you read closely enough, you can pretty much figure it out. However, the way Jo Nesbo writes, he diverts your attention so often that you could never possibly suspect the actual killer to be the killer. And I loved that about this because the entire time I thought I had it figured out. I was so set and I was pulling out all of these different reasons why it was X, Y, or Z, and I was so dead set in it having to be these people that when I figured out who it actually was and I went back and looked at the book, there's no other conclusion than it had to be that person. And it's just so well hidden in plain sight right in front of you that you have to immediately be like, oh my God, how did I not see that? And I think that is what is so effective about Nesbo's writing, is he really doesn't try to hide the answer, but the more you dig and the more you try and figure out who it could possibly be, the more you as the reader confuse yourself. And I haven't really seen this done in a lot of like thrillers or whodunit stories. A lot of times the killer kind of comes out of nowhere, or like the twists are really absurd and outlandish and you don't quite understand how we got from A to B, and sometimes that can really cheapen a story. Riley Sager is an author who is very good at leading you in one direction for the entire story and then blindsiding you at the very end. Sometimes it is very effective, but sometimes you do feel kind of cheated. This one, because the killer is so blatantly hidden in plain sight, when you do finally get to that reveal, you're just like, I was bamboozled, and I loved every single part of it. I also really love how much the winter setting of this novel drives forth the plot. It is a very character-driven story, but I will say that the Norwegian setting also seems to be a slight character in this story. The presence of snowfall, the idea of the snowman, the whole winter wonderland leading up to the holidays is very, very pivotal to this story, and it does play upon your emotions and that sense of isolation very, very well, both for a main character as well as our reader. I do think Harry Hole is the most developed character in this novel, and even though he does have 6 books prior to lead up to who he is today, without having read those 6 stories before reading this, I still got a very, very clear view of who Harry Hole was. I felt very invested in his love life. I felt very invested in his relationship with his like quasi stepson. I actually thought that was the strongest point of the book. And I did watch the film right after reading this, and it's something that the film actually undid. The whole film kind of undoes Harry Hole's whole solid, good role model relationship with his stepson. And in the novel, his solid paternal presence to his sort of stepson is truly the one like shining light about Harry Hole as a person. It really shows you that deep down he is a very good guy, that he is really, really trying, and he's not just kind of this jaded cop who's been consumed by his career. And I like that he was very, very well humanized in the novel, and it's a very, very big shame that they completely undid that in the movie. The movie, to be perfectly honest, was absolute trash. It was just a waste of Michael Fassbender's talent. But yes, I don't really want to go too much into this plot. I will say I really liked, I guess, the targeted victim aspect of this. I thought it was a really, really interesting direction to take, especially with the reasoning behind it. It is very akin to the reasoning in the motivations behind the Chestnut Man killings, which I also really, really loved. I can't sing the praises of the Chestnut Man enough. But I did like how this was very similar, but also slightly different. I do like how this was also, once again, very focused on just our main detective. Yes, there are other detectives who help Harry, but it is more of a direct focus on one singular person, and it doesn't feel overcrowded with a lot of the backstories of our other characters, because there are quite a few characters in this. I never felt confused, it never felt jumbled, it never felt overwhelming, even though there is a huge amount of characters throughout this. And I know when I was reading this with Blackacre, I finished it before him, and so I was just like losing it when he would send me texts of like who he thought the like killer was and who he thought like wasn't trustworthy and whatnot. And for a lot of it, he got most of it right, but we were both completely blindsided by who the actual killer was, and we both just sat there at the end being like, I can't believe that like, I can't believe this went over my head. But it was really cool to see him like slowly figuring it out, and he totally figured it out better than I did. I was so dead set at one point on this one like super frivolous character that like pretty much added nothing to the plot, and I was just like, I don't understand why this character is here, he has to be the guy. And Blackacre was like, I mean, maybe, like, I don't know. But he definitely got it. He definitely figured it out a lot more than I did. And it's just so fun watching somebody like first experience a Nordic noir story, because it starts off kind of tame, and then as it goes on, it just gets more and more brutal and like intense and over the top and crazy, and I just loved that. And the Snowman is no exception with that. The Chestnut Man, what I love so much about it is how real it feels. Like, I could 100% see that case being 100% plausible. This one, not so much. There's like a lot of moments where it's like, well, that was convenient and that's over the top. But it never fully, like, I never fully needed to suspend my disbelief to get behind it. But there were definite things where I was like, you know, I really don't think you could cheat your way through that system to make this work. But I don't know. I don't live in Norway. I don't know how certain government systems work over there. But yes, overall, I absolutely adored this. Tons of twists, tons of turns. Perfect winter horror novel. And it will keep you guessing until the very, very end. And it's one of the few detective stories where the detective is just not a horrible person to the core. Like, I read The Jigsaw Man, and oh my god, the detectives in that were just garbage people, and I couldn't connect with them. Even In the Woods by Tana French, like, our main character is just such a loathsome character. Harry Holy is like consumed by his job, but he tries to be a good person. He really does. So I did really enjoy that aspect of it. Anyway, so I will be linking Blackacre's review down below, maybe up above, I don't know, one of the two, probably both. But make sure to give his video a like. I'm sure he's gonna have a lot more insightful things to say than I do, because I just like gush over Nordic noir. And again, it is his first experience with the genre, and I'm so happy that he loved it, because this would have been like an absolute mess if he hated it and I was just sitting here being like, isn't this the greatest thing ever? So very happy he enjoyed it. Don't think I said this earlier, but this was a 5-star read from me. Not as highly praised as other works that I have read in the genre, such as obviously The Chestnut Man, and even though Let the Right One In is a 4-star read from me for some problematic reasons, I do actually think that that might be a stronger book. But I am definitely going to be reading more by Jo Nesbo. The Knife is his latest release, and that one looks really interesting to me, so maybe I'll pick that up. Sorry that I'm reading all of these out of order, but I don't like series, and I like this author, so we're just gonna go from there. Anyways, as always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Mwah.